Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you what the government has put in place in case of a nuclear emergency that might affect Hong Kong. It all begins with the Guangdong Daya Bay Nuclear Power Station. Just some quick facts to refresh our memory. It's a joint venture between the Hong Kong Nuclear Investment Company Limited and the Guangdong Nuclear Investment Company Limited. Construction started 1987, commercial operation started 1994. It's French design, French manufacturing. 70% of the electricity goes to Hong Kong, meeting some 23% of the local demand. And the plant is located at Daya Bay, which is some 50 kilometers northeast of Hong Kong city center from Tsim Sha Tsui here. In the light of this incoming nuclear labor, the government of Hong Kong then commissioned the UK Atomic Energy Authority to do a consultancy study for us. This study was completed in 1987. It has had the advantage of taking into account the experience in Windscale, Three Mile Island, Chernobyl. The conclusion is that the risk of this nuclear labor to Hong Kong residents is extremely low. Much lower than the risk that we may encounter every day. But anyway, we decided to adopt a prudent approach. The then Security Bureau coordinated government efforts to develop the Daya Bay Contingency Plan in case of any nuclear accidents that might affect Hong Kong. In accordance with the plan, more than 30 government departments have developed and ensured capabilities in monitoring, in assessment, and in emergency response. And we also carry out exercises to test out the plan. We improve the content of the plan in the light of the experience we gained. We ensure that the overall coordination and the overall operation of the plan is okay. I must say that this DBCP must not be viewed in isolation. It's part of our emergency response management. If you go to Security Bureau's website, you can see a number of plans published for public information. The first one is the Emergency Response System, which is a generic master plan for general application. The DBCP is one of the specific plans drawn up to deal with specific situations. So I'm going to focus on 4 questions. How can we know of an accident, a nuclear accident that might affect Hong Kong? How might Hong Kong be affected? And what will we do? And are we coping with changes? The first thing is that we developed our own warning system. The Hong Kong Observatory has set up 10 field stations to measure the ambient gamma radiation level all over Hong Kong. One of the stations is at Ping Chau. As Professor Lee just said, it's just within 20 kilometers from the nuclear plant. In that station, we have an additional gamma spectrometry system that can also detect the source of the radiation, whether it's natural or artificial radionuclides. And that might give us a hint of whether any accident is being developed. All these systems are online, operating 24-hour days, 7 days a week. It's all automated. In case of any abnormalities, the alarm will sound in Hong Kong Observatory. And the Hong Kong Observatory also collects environmental samples all over Hong Kong and tests them. The samples include drinking water, seawater, underground water, soil, sediments, foodstuff. So this is a chart showing where the 10 stations are, the red dots, and where we collect the environmental samples. Secondly, we also monitor the incoming drinking water from Guangdong. The Water Supplies Department runs 2 identical systems at the Mok Wu pumping station, which is near Mang Kam To, where the water comes into Hong Kong. In case of any increase in the radiation level of the drinking water, the alarms at the Hong Kong Observatory at the Water Supplies Department will sound. Thirdly, we also have agreed a notification arrangement with the Guangdong authorities. First of all, the plant operator must notify Guangdong authorities of any emergency event. And the Guangdong authorities have to notify Hong Kong governments according to the agreed arrangement. In case there's an off-site emergency, the notification will be immediate. The fourth thing is that China is a signatory to the United Nations Convention on Early Notification of a Nuclear Accident. So in case of an emergency, there will be state notification to IAEA, and the Hong Kong Observatory will receive information from IAEA. Last but not least, the electricity generated at Daya Bay will go to Hong Kong. So it's a power source for Hong Kong. The CLP Power is obliged under the Electricity Ordinance to notify government of any power interruption that may due to a power source outside of Hong Kong. So in case of any power interruption, the CLP System Control Center will have to alert our departments, alert EMSD and Hong Kong Observatory. But power interruption may or may not be related to nuclear accidents, and we have to follow up to investigate. And there are also two government directors on the board of the Hong Kong Nuclear Investment Company, and they may also make inquiries. So these are the things that we are doing so that we can know of an accident as soon as possible. So how may Hong Kong be affected? If we got any signs of a nuclear emergency, we will immediately enhance our monitoring. The Hong Kong Observatory will enhance the monitoring at the 10 field stations. We can send out a GFS helicopter with an aerial monitoring system mounted on board to identify any plume that might come to Hong Kong. We may dispatch two mobile radiation survey teams. There are two vans that can go along two designated routes in the northeastern part of the Hong Kong of the new territories. If necessary, the fire service department may activate the instruments installed in 13 fire stations to act as monitoring stations. There will be more sampling of the drinking water by the water supplies department, both at the Mok Wu pumping station and at reservoirs in Hong Kong. The Agriculture and Fisheries and Conservation Department and the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department will also monitor the food coming to Hong Kong. So what could be the effect to Hong Kong? We have to assess the consequences. The Hong Kong Observatory has put in place an accident consequence assessment system. Basically, this is a computerized system to simulate the situation. You will take reading from the real-time meteorological data. You'll get information on radiological release from the Guangdong authorities. Everything will be fit into the system so that we can model the dispersion of radiological releases that might affect Hong Kong. And we can predict the radiation dose to members of the public at different locations in Hong Kong. So actually, what are the possible consequences? The first thing is, if there is a release of the radioactive substances into the atmosphere, they may be dispersed by wind, carried by wind, and it will behave like a smoke of cloud, a plume, and this plume, exposure to this plume is harmful, and we also an inhalation of the air will be harmful. This is the first thing. The second thing is that the radioactive substances may contaminate the plant or the drinking water, and this may go into the food chain. And if we consume this contaminated foodstuff and drinking water, it will be a risk to our public health. And of course, persons or cargo from the hot zone or coming through the hot zone near the plant, if they arrive in Hong Kong, that may pose a public health risk to Hong Kong. So all these are the things that we have to take into account. And the DPCP has made provision to implement countermeasures to deal with these kinds of consequences in order to minimize the impact to Hong Kong. So what will we do? First thing is, after assessment, we may need to activate the DBCP. There are 4 levels of activation according to the scale of the event that might be unfolding. The observation level, the ready level, the partial activation level, and the full activation level. Of course, the full activation level is a full-scale response in case of off-site release of radioactive substances. We have, in the government, we have put in place a robust emergency response structure that will be steered by senior officials up to the chief executive. The professional departments, the experts from the technical departments will provide professional advice to help us make decisions. There will be a mechanism to coordinate everything, to get the information right, to ensure that every people are on the same page regarding the information coming in. And the departments will carry out on-the-ground operations to implement the plan. So, this is the this is the structure of the emergency response system. You can see that the Secretary for Security is in the middle. He is the main player because he will decide at which level the DBCP should be activated. And he is advised by a technical working group, which will have. Sorry. Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes. The Secretary for Security will be here. He will be advised by a technical working group. They are experts from the technical departments who will provide professional advice. This is the Emergency Monitoring and Support Center. It's a civil emergency response organization within the government. It will keep in close contact with the Guangdong authorities and all relevant government departments. They will play a coordination role. And in case of real emergency, the matter will be escalated to the chief executive. He will be assisted by a working group. It will comprise the directors of all relevant bureaus and the heads of all the relevant departments. And the chief secretary will be also a member of this working group. So we have the operational and support departments all here. The Hong Kong Observatory will run a monitoring and assessment center because it will coordinate all the emergency monitoring and assessment of consequences. And we will have the electrical and mechanical service department. Will advise on the engineering conditions of the nuclear plants. We will have the Department of Health. We will assess the risk to public health that might be caused by the accident. We will have the Agriculture, Fisheries, and Conservation Department and the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department who are responsible for the foodstuffs. Water Supply Department responsible for monitoring drinking water. And we have the Hong Kong Police Force and the Fire Service Department who have respective roles to play under the DBCP. An important thing is public information. This essential media strategy to provide reliable and timely information and advice to members public. It's critical to stop any panic that might arise from a nuclear emergency, that might arise from exaggerated fears, or that may arise from rumors only. So institutionally, the Director of Information Services will convene an Information Policy Committee. They are the experts in public information. The Information Service Department and the Police Public Relations Bureau will join forces to set up a combined information center to carry out the media strategy laid down by CE or the Secretary for Security. They will run the press briefing center for the media. Naturally, there might be overseas interest in the situation in Hong Kong. We will update the Consul Generals in Hong Kong. We will update the Foreign Chambers of Commerce in Hong Kong. We will also make use of our economic and trade offices overseas. So what are the countermeasures that we may put in place? The first thing is there's a plume emergency planning zone. We set it as all the territories within 20 kilometers from the plant. So in the Hong Kong situation, the only land mass is the Ping Chau, which have a normal residence of 2. There may be visitors on holidays. The countermeasure that we'll do will be evacuation, if possible. We just evacuate all the people back to Hong Kong. If evacuation is not possible, then we'll start with sheltering. In case of possible radiation dose to people who has go into this zone, we'll issue iodine tablets. We will also monitor persons who have been coming from or through the hot zone near the plant. They may arrive at a boundary control point. We will monitor them if necessary. We may carry out decontamination. We will also monitor the incoming cargo. The second zone is the injection emergency planning zone, which we set it as all the Hong Kong territory within 85 kilometers from the plant. That means the whole Hong Kong territory. We will monitor the foodstuff, we will monitor the livestock, we will monitor the water. We will ensure that no contaminated foodstuff, or livestock or water will come into human consumption. So the DPCP has been put in place since 1994. So are we coping with changes, one may ask? The first thing is, beyond the Daya Bay nuclear power plant, we have other nuclear power plants coming into place in Guangdong. The first one is the Ling Ao nuclear power station. It's very close to Daya Bay nuclear power plant. It's also in Daya Bay. It's just 1 kilometer east of the Daya Bay nuclear power plant. Same design, same management. It commenced operation in 2002. Because of this, we have discussed with the Guangdong authorities. We have updated the notification arrangements for emergencies to cover this Ling Ao power station. So the DBCP is now equally applicable to Ling Ao power station. We keep the name of DBCP because this Ling Ao plant is also at Daya Bay, just next to the Daya Bay nuclear power plant. There's only one difference. This Ling Ao nuclear power station is not supplying electricity to Hong Kong, and the CLP has no role to play it here, so the notification will not come from CLP. But all the other notification arrangements are in place. Secondly, more transparency. All along, the HKNIC has maintained high transparency of the operation of the Daya Bay nuclear power station. For non-emergency operational events at DBMPS, that means on the INES scale, level 0 and level 1, non-emergency events of little safety significance. There will be monthly disclosure of the numbers of such events at the Hong Kong NIC website. Because of the higher public expectation on transparency, early this year, the government has reached agreement with the owners of the plant so that for this kind of level 0, level 1 event, they will disclose it on Hong Kong NIC website within 2 working days. And we not only disclose the numbers, we also the disclosure will include a brief description of the event, the initial classification of the event at level 0 or level 1, and the possible impact to the public. There will be also parallel notification of such events to the Hong Kong SAR government. Of course, on March 11th, we have the Fukushima accident. What's our response? The first thing is the government has requested the Hong Kong Nuclear Investment Company to review the operation at Daya Bay, to carry out safety checks to ensure that the plant is in safe operation. Secondly, we take necessary measures with appropriate reference to the DBCP. We enhanced the environmental radiation monitoring. We carry out monitoring of food and drinking water. We monitor the seawater. We monitor the coming in cargo from sea and from air. we enhanced the radiation safety education. So this has been working well. I would like to say that it shows that the DBCP has been drawn up adequately to deal with any nuclear accident that might affect Hong Kong. One thing I have to mention is about the health desk service at airport. Strictly speaking, it's not necessary to carry out any screening of incoming air passengers from Japan. But there are some worries about from some of the passengers. They request government to do something, and therefore we set up a voluntary health desk service at the airport. So if you are concerned about your health because you've been to Japan, you will come to the health desk for some checking. But because of the no demand, this service has stopped already. Of course, we render assistance to Hong Kong residents in Japan. We have arranged extra flights to bring Hong Kong people back to Hong Kong. We indeed have, at the height of the event, we sent a team of Hong Kong officers to Japan to help them. We also issue outbound travel alert. But in any case, it's fair to say that the Fukushima accident has escalated public concern about nuclear safety, about emergency planning. So what is the way forward? So we have decided to undertake a comprehensive review of the DBCP. The government is committed to do this thing. We need to learn lessons from the Fukushima accident, and we need to follow the international nuclear safety standards. We will revise the DBCP in accordance with the suggestions, or with reference to the suggestions of the International Atomic Energy Agency and other international organizations. In fact, there will be an IAEA ministerial conference on nuclear safety to be held later in June in Vienna. This conference will receive a preliminary assessment report on the Fukushima accident. It will also shed light on the development of international nuclear safety standards. So we'll follow this development closely, and we will follow anything going beyond this ministerial conference. Within China, the State Council has asked that there should be a comprehensive safety review of all the nuclear plants in operation in China and all the nuclear plants being constructed. So the National Nuclear Safety Administration is doing this comprehensive review, and we will follow the development closely to also examine the result of this review. And we will all take all these things into account in the update of the Diabetes Contingency Plan. Of course, the name of the plan may have to change sometimes, perhaps. Of course, we have to take into account the actual situation of Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is different from other places. And it remains for the Security Bureau to coordinate this review exercise and to work with all concerned, both inside the government and outside the government. That's why the Security Bureau has set up a small dedicated team to do this review, and that's why I'm here. What is the scope of the review? We will review the application of the DBCP to assess the risk that may be posed by any nuclear accidents via Hong Kong. We will strengthen the notification mechanism with the Guangdong authorities and other concerned parties. We will step up our radiation monitoring and assessment in Hong Kong. We'll ensure that we have the capability to assess the consequences. As I said, we will follow closely the latest nuclear safety standards. We'll draw reference from what other people are doing overseas and what other emergency response organizations do overseas, especially after the Fukushima accident. We'll also consult our local nuclear experts. Of course, we will step the measures after activation of the contingency plan. The countermeasures, we'll review our emergency response structure, we'll review the arrangement for release of public information, we will review the manpower, the training, the resources, equipment, these kind of things. Exercise. Subject to the progress of the review of the DBCP, we hope to complete it within the year. We plan to do a large-scale interdepartmental exercise in early 2012. We wish to test the preparations and the emergency response under the revised plan. we will invite experts, local experts, experts from the mainland and experts from overseas as observers, so that they can give feedback to us of how we are doing under the new plan. Apart from government departments, we would also like to involve parties outside government. For example, the Hong Kong Nuclear Investment Company, for example, the Guangdong authorities, for example, the plant operators at Daya Bay. There may be appropriate participation of exercise by members of the public in certain parts of it, so that we can also involve the public. After exercise, we will review the result. We may further adjust the plan in the light of the result of the exercise. Of course, one important thing is to promote community understanding of the contingency planning. Actually, what I have said, more of the things that I have said can be found in this Daya Bay contingency plan, and it can be downloaded from the website of the Security Bureau. So if you're sleepless at night, it may be an interesting read for you. Of course, we have to enhance the public education on nuclear power and radiation safety. That's important. That's why we support this civil exchange conference on increasing nuclear literacy. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.